History is astoundingly amazing. I often find it very difficult to close a history book once I open it because it's really captivating. History is filled with great eminent personalities, but the more deep you go into the biographical studies of even the most greatest and most well-known people in history, you will quickly realize and be astonished to see how very little information is available about these individuals. It's very hard to even know whether the information we have about them is correct or not. This applies to almost all the historical figures we may think we know a lot about. If you look at the life of Socrates, who was one of the most famous philosophers in the world, if you go study his biography, you will find it very astonishing. It's astonishing to know how very little is known about him. All we have about him is information we got from the dialogues of Plato, Xenophon and the plays of Aristophanes. Let's look at the life of Alexander the Great, one of the most famous rulers in the history of mankind. He created one of the largest empires of the ancient world. By the time he died, he was one of the most popular person in the world at that time. But even then, we don't know how he died. There are dark spots in his life we know nothing about. The more you delve into the academic study of biography, you'll realize that this is the case with almost all the famous people in history: Napoleon, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Adolf Hitler, Aristotle, Thomas Jefferson, Karl Marx, Julius Caesar, Queen Victoria, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Theodore Roosevelt, Leonardo da Vinci, Ronald Reagan, Winston Churchill, Genghis Khan, Friedrich Nietzsche, Sigmund Freud, Mahatma Gandhi. I could go on and on and on, because these are very famous people, but still we don't have a complete idea about their life. Even for those people who lived since the advent of modern recording technology, even in the case of these people, we don't have a complete, unaveraged, unambiguous, coherent idea of their complete life, except for one man. There is one man in history who lived 1400 years ago in the barren deserts of Arabia, whose every movement is clearly recorded, whose every action is clearly recorded, whose every word is clearly recorded to the letter, whose every look is recorded, even his silence is recorded. It was not recorded with camera, but through the first-hand witness of thousands of his companions who accompanied him throughout his life. The way he walked is recorded, the way he ate is recorded, the way he sat is recorded, the way he laughed is recorded, the way he cried is recorded. Even though it was a time which did not have a camera, we have a complete detailed description of his appearance preserved in authentic texts. We have detailed descriptions about how he dressed, how he combed his hair, how he slept, what he wore. We have a clear description about even the ring he used to wear on his hand. There are research fields and universities of the world that study his sayings. There are hundreds of thousands of books that have been written about this man. Even though he never wrote an autobiography about himself, we have thousands of biographies about him. There is a huge academic discipline that studies the authenticity of people who reported his words. We have a complete, precise, authentic, detailed description of his entire life. For example, this is Sahih al-Bukhari, written by a very famous Muslim theologian known as Imam Bukhari. This voluminous compilation of books talks about the life of Prophet Muhammad in very minute detail. His sayings, his actions, his daily routine. It talks about everything. It's so beautifully written. This is by one author. There are hundreds of authors who have written thousands of books regarding this man. The man is none other than Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He hasn't written a single book, but thousands of books are written about him. He follows none but billions of people follow him. He is one of the most loved and most hated man in the entire history of mankind. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim. If you actually want to learn about the life of this man, it's not that hard. You can actually get information from many different sources, offline and online. But make sure that you get information from authentic texts, please, because there are countless misinformation that are being spread by Islamophobes to defame this man. So learn, unlearn and relearn.